All right, going live in three, two, one. Well, this is TNZ episode. Are we at this is number 19. Here's Tina. How Tina?
Hey, we got to
Is
do something big for 20.
is it 19 or 20? For some reason I'm forgetting.
I
Hold
think it's 19.
Actually, no, we're at 20. This is 20. I messed up on the labeling there. So
What? Oh my God. I looked at the label and I saw it was 19. I was like, okay.
yeah, that's why I
What
was
an episode this will be. This is such a good show.
yes the show that I'd never heard of before, I'd never seen, and apparently it's very hard to find on the internet anywhere. This is a very interesting. Garth, forget how to pronounce the guy's name.
Garth Marenghi's Darkplace.
Mark Place. Yes, yes. Well, before we go too far, I would like to talk about one thing real quick. I found kind of interesting. I saved this from earlier today. I made sure not to refresh my screen. You can see how warm it was where I live. Hold on a second. I'll bring it up here. Today we were at 72 degrees, and it's at 3:30 this afternoon. 72 degrees. I was like, I didn't know we were going to break the 70 barrier,
It
but
is
it's
December 6th. Now we're at 72. That is a summer day.
yes. And it was so warm, I actually considered turning the air conditioning on, but I did not. I just turned the fans on. So, but it was definitely getting pretty hot in here. My house is like a little oven at times. The heat just gets trapped in the roof, and basically the whole house just heats up after a while. So, but I was surprised. Of course, tomorrow it says, if you look at it real carefully, it says 44 degrees for tomorrow. So it's going to drop down, but still 72 degrees.
Yeah, wow. Probably
And
the last summer day we'll get for at least this month. I mean,
well, I mean, I'm looking at the forecast. By Friday, it's supposed to be back up to 55 again. So, I mean, it's not quite 72, but that's only 15 degrees less than 70. So we're still riding kind of high. I think I would think usually this time of year we usually have a lot more colder days. I mean, the nights are going to dip down to the 20s by Wednesday, but we're back up. It's going to get up to close to 40 again by the following evening. So, I mean, it is just very warm for some reason, relatively warm. I'm just kind of surprised about that whole thing. So,
yeah, same here. It's there's been lots of rain and like sleet and there was flurries, but nothing's really stuck and I feel like any other year that would be snow and that would be on the ground sticking. But
mhm.
yeah, nothing yet.
But before we go too far, we got to say hello to Trung. Hello, Trung.
Hello, Trung.
Thanks for leaving a comment. And also, before we go too far, we have our new affiliates to bring on board. I got to be careful how I word this. That's NordVPN. For those who are interested in using NordVPN, the affiliate link is in the description below. You can click on that, and it helps us fund what we're doing here. So it's I can personally say I have used NordVPN, and I used it for over a year, and it was a pretty good program. I was able to. I originally purchased a video game from Germany, and it would only let me activate it in Germany, but I used NordVPN to connect, and I was able to activate it by tricking the program to thinking I was in Germany by using NordVPN. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
yes, and
Yeah. Maybe since Garth Marenghi's Dark Place is British, maybe you can watch that
oh,
using the VPN.
that's true. Yes, yeah, you can. Yeah, I've heard that you can do that. I will say that using VPNs on government sites, sometimes they know you're on a VPN and they'll tell you to get off the VPN. I've noticed that because I use a lot of government sites. That happens once in a while, but most of the time, yeah, you can actually it works pretty well in foreign countries. They actually think, and then when you go to Google, I'm sure Google knows you're on a VPN. They know everything, but if I type in India, like the Google will come up in whatever, what do they speak? Indian in the country of India. I was going to say Indonesia, but that's a different country. So, but pardon my ignorance about that. So, like if you go to a Google site, it will actually bring Google up in whatever country you say you're from. So if you're in France, it'll be in French. If you're in Mexico, I think it will come up in Spanish, so forth and so on. So it's kind of cool.
I'm pretty sure India's first language is Hindi, but I
Hindi.
think the language the country speaks the most of, and forgive my ignorance potentially as well, is English.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were,
So
yeah, that I've heard that a lot. Because I have a lot. I know there's a forum I go to for video games, and a lot of people are there from India, and they speak English. They type English, I should say, very well. So,
mhm.
alrighty. Well, let's go to our question from last week. Let me bring that up again. Oops. Okay, here we go. This was about Battlestar Galactica. Based on the show Battlestar Galactica, how would you live your life on a spaceship? And what job would you have on board? Civilian jobs we put down: cook, janitor, laundry attendant, and your choice. And still overwhelmingly 78% with fighter pilots. 6%,
Yes.
6% with a tie, having a civilian job and being in a command position. And another tied 5% with being a grunt and avoiding responsibility and risk. So,
Wow. We are the main hero of our life story.
mm-hmm. And
So,
only
yeah,
3 comments.
man.
See.
Well, I think it's true. Every job has its utility on a spaceship. So even a janitor is helping a lot to keep the ship in good state.
Yes.
Definitely agree with that. And you all have to live together in close quarters and be driven mad by each other. Everyone has to do their part and do it well.
The Utilizer says no idea what Battlestar Galactica show is about. So I can't
Watching?
answer.
Are you not watching the show?
Not watching. And finally, another comment in another language. I don't know what he's saying. So hopefully it's something positive. So
I hope so too.
I guess there's not much to add to this one. I mean, it's pretty much the same as last week, just more votes. I was watching the total. This one was a little slower than the normal ones. I think maybe not enough people know what Battlestar Galactica is, unfortunately. So the show went off the air back in 2009. So it's been off the while. If unless you watched it in reruns or you are streaming or DVDs like I have the DVD collection. You're not gonna. You never saw it when it was new. I mean, that's 12 years ago now. So it's been around. So I'm sure a lot of people are not. It doesn't seem that long ago to me that the show is on, but it is. It's getting back there. So I can understand why
It
maybe not,
is.
a lot of people are just not familiar with it. So
Well, this week's question, anyone can answer.
okay. What did you
If
want?
you wrote a TV show about your life, or how a television show or book about your life,
Okay. Or book. Okay.
what genre would it be?
GANRA. Yeah.
Yep.
Is there supposed to be a comma in there after life?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay, if you wrote a television show or book about your life, what genre would it be? Okay.
All right.
So what inspired this question?
Garth Marenghi's Darkplace is the series is about a man who Garth Marenghi who writes a show. He's a horror writer. He writes books and he writes a TV show, and he casts himself as Rick Douglas, MD, and he makes a horror TV show. And he puts himself in the main character role, but he's playing you know a glamorous version of himself. Like, he's the main character. This is all of his book characters brought to life. It's very personal, and I'm wondering, what would our viewers make them cast themselves as if they were in the same position?
Ah, so I would venture that guess that probably a lot of people would put them in a very positive role of some kind, something that would make them out to be very, in not in a negative way, but or something that would be like the hero, the protagonist, just like he does kind of in this story. I can't imagine too many people would want to pick Well, I mean, you could be like a Quentin Tarantino type where he just plays. He doesn't usually play the main characters in his movies. So
That's a really good point, and we should put that as like the last bullet point of this.
and then there's also who the he used to do. He made a lot of movies. I can't remember his name now. Sorry. He's already passed on. He made a lot of movies during the 50s and 60s, mystery movies. Or I can't remember any of the names either. Damn it! He's a well-known. I'm gonna have to look this one up. Give me a second. He just played. Well, basically, what I'm leading up to is he did cameo appearances. So
do you think we should do the genre, or do you think we should do what role would you be? How would you cast yourself?
yeah.
Let's try that.
So how would you want to rephrase that then?
What do you think?
We could leave it like that. Or we could add it. We could add it on there. Maybe we can make it 2 different things. Maybe like we could put a genre. How if you want to add it, like make it 2 somehow. I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Let's leave it like this, because last week's question was kind of that where would you put yourself type of setup. Let's leave it like this. Maybe tell us your role in the comments.
Tell us your role in the comments. Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah, tell us what role you would play in the comments.
Okay, hold on a second. I was trying to look something up at the same time. Okay, the movie I'm thinking of has the one with the Bates Motel in it.
Oh, this isn't Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, he always. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could not remember his name for some reason at all. But yeah, he did. He always had a cameo in his movies, a little tiny cameo appearance. So, but okay. So what was the? I already forgot what you said. Sorry, I was trying.
No, you're good. If you wrote a television show or book about your life, what genre would it be? Tell us what role you would have in the comments.
What role would there we go. Okay.
Yep.
So what would we put for the responses on this?
What genre would it be? Well, I think comedy is a good one.
Comedy. Okay.
How about
I assume that includes all kinds of comedies, slapstick comedy, the more serious kind of comedies where it's more realistic, more down to earth kind of comedy stuff. So
yeah, maybe we could specify and say something like maybe like comedy dash slapstick, spoof.
let's see. Okay.
Or like maybe like et cetera, like etc.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
I was trying to think of another one too, but okay, cool. Alrighty.
Horror.
Drama?
Yeah, do drama.
How about biography? Would be interesting.
That is a good one. Yeah, just like a matter of fact, get the facts down. Some people are very factual and kind of want like a timeline. That's a very good one. Horror / thriller. If they live a wild life.
Of course, we hope we're not talking about people who are actually going around knifing people and killing them.
No, please do not comment any crimes you may have committed. We are obligated to report that. Maybe depending on don't we? Yeah, don't be telling us if you're a murderer.
I guess your choice. Final one with their choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe biography or documentary.
Okay. Okay. And biography. Or what was it?
Documentary.
Documentary. Okay. Let's see.
Yep.
Okay, good. Cool. Alrighty. Interesting that you bring up documentary because this show that we're going to talk about is a mock documentary or mockumentary or whatever they refer to them as.
Yeah.
The way it's structured, that is, with the way they talk. So okay, does it look good? I'm going to go ahead and post that. We can talk about the show.
Role has ROLE.
Oh, whoops, my bad. Thank you.
Yes.
Otherwise, look good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. So I'll post that. There we go. All right, we'll come back to that one. So, all right. So when I watched this, now, why don't you explain how you were introduced to this?
So I like British comedy, particularly like the 2000s. And I actually found this through a different comedian who is probably the most incredible. Comedian doesn't even do it justice. He's like a satirist. He's just so smart, and his name is Chris Morris.
Chris
And
Morris.
yeah, so I watched his shows, which we will hopefully cover someday on here. And through that, I just found Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. And, they're both British. They both have this spoof parody type of thing going on because Chris Morris is focused on like news and how like he makes commentary, comedic commentary on like British news coverage and how British people cover the news, and it's incredible. Zoom, you would love this. But Garth Marenghi's Darkplace is about a horror show and a horror writer, and I love how he takes an active role in his own shows. Like he puts it on. The Matt Holness is his name. He plays Garth Marenghi.
Ah,
And
okay. That's who it is.
yeah, so Matt Holness plays Garth Marenghi, who plays the like in the show he plays a doctor, and it's just hilarious.
Now, when I first, I had no idea what this was going to be about, really. So when I started watching it, he comes on. I guess that's the guy that's you're talking about, that comes on at the very beginning of the show and talks about his life as a writer. And
Yes.
I thought, what is that? I thought he was very cocky and arrogant. And I was like, what do I? And I was like, what am I watching? I don't even know. I don't want to watch this guy. I didn't realize it was supposed to be a comedy or parody or satire at first. And so I'm like, I thought he was being serious. So,
No, the furthest thing from it.
and I was like, okay. And I immediately just said, okay, I don't know if I want to watch this. I turned it off, and I was like, and then I went back and watched it, and I was like, I realized it was actually a comedy, because it took me a while to realize, watching it for a few minutes, it was actually a comedy. So
Wow. Yeah, his whole character. So like he's so deep in this character of being this conceited, self-righteous, like he's even call himself a horror writer. He calls himself a dream weaver. And he starts to show us that, I'm Garth Marenghi, horror writer, dream weaver. And he talks like so highly of himself. But throughout the show, when they do cutaways to him talking about the show as it's happening, because in the series they say we ran out of time, so we had so much extra time to fill in these shows. The shows were too short, so they had to add commentary during the episode. So that's why there's sort of like documentary style input cutaways there, is because when they created the show, the show says when they created the show, they were so they had too much space to fill, so he had to like add his own stuff. And he, in his words, you know, in Garth Marenghi's words, the show was too like earth shattering, had too it was too strong, it was too much for the regular audience to see, that they weren't ready for it. So Channel 4, which is like their, you know, they're like one of their main TV stations, wouldn't let them air it. And now they came like crawling back and they said, "Can you please give us your show?" And he's like, "Yeah, I will." And, you know, being the cocky guy Garth Marenghi is, he's like, "Yeah, I would love to show it to you guys."
No, no, I think we should be able to play parts of this without getting any copyright claims. I'm pretty sure because
It's on YouTube, so
well,
they
well
can't
that
be
doesn't
mad
even,
at us watching their video.
well, yeah, but sometimes they still get a copyright even though it's on there, so we got to be careful. But it's hardly. As I was looking the background for this, a lot of people. I watched two people review this, and they said it's virtually impossible to find anywhere. So, like when we were talking about doing this, I looked online for the usual places I go to, and I couldn't find it. Where did you find it?
I actually bought a DVD from the UK,
Oh, really?
and yeah, so I have the DVD version. However, I do not have the correct DVD player that can play British DVDs. So I have the DVDs, but I'm not I'm not able to play them. So that's a problem. So I have to get a different DVD player. But they're sitting ready to go.
Well,
Um
I, just to let you know, I mean, I don't want to get too far off subject here, but pretty much any DVD player will play any kind of DVD. There's a website that shows you how to do that. You just take your remote control and aim it, and you input a code into the thing. It'll let you switch to different regions. So it's actually pretty simple to do. I found that out about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. So
so all this time I've been able to play this DVD.
most likely, yes. I can't say with absolute certainty, but almost all DVD players are pretty much universal. You just have to, all you have to do is just go through the menu. It's a secret menu that's inside there, and you just bring it up, and it'll say which one you want to switch it to, and it lets it switch it to. I used to do that years ago. So you can make it region free, which makes it so it'll play all of them, so you don't have to worry about any of them. So that's the best way to go, the best route.
I don't know what I've been doing with my life.
But
But
yeah. And so anyway, getting back to the show, I we can go and play this a little bit of this.
Something was pouring from his mouth.
Can you hear that?
yes.
Okay.
He examined his sleeve. Blood? Blood. Crimson, copper-smelling blood. His blood. 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 And bits of sick. Greetings, traveller. I'm Garth Marenghi, horror writer. Most of you will probably know me already from my extensive canon of chillers, including Afterbirth, in which a mutated placenta attacks Bristol. Back in the 1980s, I wrote, directed and starred in Garth Marenghi's Darkplace, a television programme so radical, so risky, so dangerous, so goddamn crazy, that the so-called powers that be became too scared to show it. And
That's that's right there. So the show is all fictional, and I refer to this as a mockumentary. Following this, when I saw this, I would have to say it's very unique on the way it's done it, the way it does this, but it does seem to have influences possibly from other things. Like the one that comes to mind would be this is Spinal Tap. You ever seen Spinal Tap?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a great comparison.
So you have that mockumentary kind of style where they're constantly jumping back and forth. Another one that comes to mind is the Police Squad TV show, where they made into the Naked Gun movies. Are you familiar with those?
Familiar, but I've never seen.
Okay, that has a kind of a comedy aspect to it that's similar to this. And then to a lesser extent, there's a TV show. I think you and I had talked about this, but we hadn't actually shown it. It was Dynaman, where they took a Japanese show and they redubbed the English they redubbed it into English, but they changed the dialogue completely to be something that was completely different than what was originally spoken. So it kind of falls in line with that. And one other thing, I can't remember what it was, but I'm sure it'll come to me. But basically, it has a hint of all those, but it's mostly its own thing. It's very unique and most of its ways. The only reason I'm making a comparison to those is because those came out before this did. So I'm wondering if maybe there was some influence by that from those other things to make them when they made this one. So, who is the person who wrote the two people who are starring in this are not the ones who actually wrote this. Is that correct? They're just playing character. Stephen King is the guy who he comes across as to me, kind of in that way.
Yeah, so he's definitely parodying Stephen King, and like as like a persona there, as the horror writer, I feel like, because I even think Stephen King wore glasses like that, like tinted glasses at his prime back then. So Garth is played by Matthew Holness, and he is one of the creators, along with Richard, I think it's Ayoade, who is Dean Lerner.
Okay.
And that is Garth's. So playing their characters, that's Garth's publicist.
Right.
And yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, but yeah, those are the two main. And they're kind of portrayed as like the two main characters in this as well, like the ones that they constantly jump back and forth when they do the documentary kind of format, where they're talking about what they did during the show. And yeah, I can't pronounce the other guy's name, Richard. Sorry, I'm not even going to try because I know I'll mispronounce it. But when he comes on, he plays this really bad actor, and he's which is interesting because I heard other people say that he's actually a really good actor. So the idea that he has to go back and try to play a bad actor is actually quite challenging. So.
Yeah, he's a character in the IT Crowd. He's like one of the main characters of that show. So he's a very recognized actor. And actually, I think everyone except Liz is the blonde woman, like the blonde main woman of the show. I've never heard of her outside of this, but everyone else I recognize from I either recognize or I know they do other things.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of this show, and I've never heard of any of these people. So that's quite interesting. So
you got to learn your British comedies.
That's true. I mean, but my British comedies are limited to Monty Python, Monty Python's Flying Circus from the 1960s and 70s, and Faulty Towers, and I forget what else I've watched. Benny Hill when he was still on. And I'm trying to think. I'm sure there's something else I probably watched, but those are the three that come to mind. So
you would love the IT Crowd, and I hope you loved this.
It was pretty good. I wouldn't. It was funny, but I wasn't laughing very much. So, yeah, the humor is there, but it's not laugh out loud kind of humor for me. So, there were a couple of jokes where I did laugh really loud, but for the most part, I was not sitting there, laughing so hard. Like with other comedies I've watched. So when I've watched, specifically British comedies, that I've watched, the other ones that I mentioned, I would actually laugh pretty hard for those. This one, no, I was not. So I hate to say it. I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying that wasn't making me laugh like I thought it should have. So.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not rolling laughing, sometimes the jokes in this show and the lines move so quickly where it really is like bam, bam, bam. Like it hits so fast that when I realize something really funny happened, it's already rolling on to the next funny thing. So it's like I'm still processing that really funny line of like, wait a minute. And then at the same time, I'm hearing something else, and I'm like, there's just so much overlap of like really clever writing that I almost miss the funny stuff. So I have to watch it again, which I'm fine with because I love this show.
And there were only 6 episodes ever produced.
Well, apparently Garth Marenghi says there was 52, but only 6 made it on air. Okay. So, and all of this was filmed, the whole entire show was supposedly filmed in Dean Lerner's garage. All of it.
Dean, okay. No, that's That's the fictional universe, but in reality, the real world.
Yes, in the real world, there are 6 episodes available to you and I.
Right. Which is kind of interesting because one of my favorite shows, I mentioned it earlier, was the TV show called Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen, which they made into the Naked Gun movies. And that TV show is also not very well known by a lot of, it's known by a small group of people like this one is. And it also only had 6 episodes when it was finally canceled. So I guess good comedies will only, they only let them go for so long, then they cancel them.
Yeah, I mean, if you can make it past 6, clearly you can make it far and beyond. But some stars just shine bright and, just like a little comet, just there and gone.
Right. The other parts of this, it was not only a comedy in the sense that there was some comedy in it, but there's also the technical snafus, if you can call them, like how they would, when they weren't following the correct camera procedure, like when you have a camera, you're supposed to line it up so it follows the rule of thirds, and they don't do that a lot. They purposely don't do that. So like in this shot right here, you can see there's way too much headroom. So
yeah, or like they'll have people's heads like with my bun, they would make my head like this.
Yeah.
Where it's like just like off screen, and it's so funny. Or like it'd be like this.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And it's like it's all intentional. I mean, like obviously it's all intentional, but it just like you see that, and like just the like combined with the 80s-ness of this, it's like, oh my god, like who made this? Like that's all I'm thinking is like, how did this get made? And then it's like, oh wait a minute, like Garth is a horrible filmmaker and he thinks he's the best in the world, and his script is so absurd.
And from what I understand, Matthew Holness, that's how his name is pronounced, Holness.
Yes, Matthew Holness on the left is playing Garth, playing Rick Douglas, MD.
And he has stated, someone asked him if he was going to make, on my preparation for this, I said I'd watched a couple of reviews. Somebody asked him on Twitter if he was going to continue the show and make it again. And he put down 3 words: no, no, and no. So no more new episodes coming to him. So
no, it won't work. This is a piece of art that cannot be duplicated or imitated.
And the other thing with the other technical aspects that were in the show, sometimes you could hear that the voice was dubbed in. It sounded like it was recorded in another studio.
So I sent you a few clips before the show started. If you could go to the second clip,
alrighty,
that would explain. Lucian Sanchez is the doctor to the right, and he is a surgeon.
You and he were buddies, weren't you?
Oh, that's gonna take a second. I'm using an old browser. It takes it takes a second for it to pause. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so they dubbed all of Sanchez's lines. He recorded it just normal, like a regular any other character on the show. Their lines are not like this. They dubbed his lines over, and he is talking like some kind of robot. Like this is my favorite line of his, in one of my favorite lines in the show.
Okay, unfortunately,
from him.
They crop the image. I hate when they do this. They change the aspect ratio and they cut the top of their heads. That's not their doing either. I just want to emphasize that might be something you think that they did, but no, this is somebody who uploaded to YouTube and actually cut the top of the screen off. So they didn't do that for their own production, is what I'm leading up to. So
you and he were buddies, weren't you?
Once.
Listen, when I first joined this hospital, I was strictly solo. You were the first real buddy I ever had. But if you and he wish to be best buddies again, I won't stand in your way.
I've got a best buddy, Sanj. But some shit sticks, no matter how hard you scrape. Hang back.
You got it.
Like, who talks like that? Like, how can you even do that? And like, how can a human actually make those sounds? You know what I'm saying?
His voice sounded really. I thought it was pretty good.
It's hilarious. It's so funny, but it's just like the whole time I'm just thinking like, how is this person like a real person?
Yeah, he does that throughout the entire show. Every time he speaks, he talks like that. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's hilarious. There's a scene in the I think it's the second episode where well, okay, so he's a surgeon. He's like supposed to be the like
sorry,
the like attractive surgeon.
There we
And there's a woman in the first episode who joins the staff and her name's Liz. She has telekinetic, I think they like
telekinesis.
yeah, they say she has like telepsychokinetic powers, so she can like move like she can move stuff. But in the second episode they pick on her so bad that she snaps, just like typical doctors picking on the women type of thing. And she sends like all of these kitchen tools to attack Sanchez. So he's like fighting off like a whisk and like a can opener. It's just so funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that one up. I remember seeing that scene. By the way, just to let you know, I only watched the first 4 episodes. I did not get a chance to see the last 2. So
it's okay. The last one, a woman gets turned into broccoli.
Broccoli, okay.
And it's a good episode. They're all worth watching. They're only 6 and they're each under like 25 minutes. So it's definitely a quick watch. And it's just so goofy.
It's on YouTube too, which is interesting. Nobody apparently is worried about any kind of copyright with these. So you can just watch them all for free. You don't have to worry about, I'm trying to get to that scene you're talking about. You don't have to worry about like you buying them or anything like you did. You can just go on YouTube and find them. And the nice thing is they're done in the correct aspect ratio too. So 3:4, they didn't try to cut off the top and bottom like that other video did, which is really nice. You get to see how they lined up the camera to see where the faults are, where they purposely faulted the image, and so it looks like the way it does. The hotel. Let me talk about the hotel. It looks like something you'd see on old Doctor Who. You ever see Doctor Who from the 1960s and 70s?
No, I have not.
My dad was a huge Doctor Who fan. My sister was too. I just watch it once in a while, but that looks like something you'd see on Doctor Who, little models like that. There's the extra headroom.
I love it.
Where was that scene at? Was it further in? I'm trying to find that scene you're talking about where she's like with all the is this one right? This is one of them right here.
I don't even know what I'm cooking. I'm so angry. Seasoning. No. What do I need? Tarragon? Maybe. Oregano. Never heard of it. Italian seasoning. Too vague. Old cloves. Yeah. One of them in. Sage? Yeah, sage is for pork. No, I can do pork tomorrow. I'll leave it at pork. Son of a bitch.
There we go. Yeah.
So I just sent you a clip. It should be right at the scene where.
Okay. Gonna bring that up.
Oh, and this is Dean. So Dean's commenting on the fact that you can see the strings hanging above the tools as they were shooting the video.
All right, here we go.
Out.
Okay. Right on full screen here.
The puppet. It's not about the string. You go to a Punch and Judy show and you're only watching the wires. You're a freak.
Yeah, it's me, Dak. I'm in a dead end. I've been cornered by some cutlery. I think I can take them. A whisk, a tin opener, and a spatula. Yeah, I'll take the whisk out first and hold them off as long as I can. Ah! I'm hit, I'm down. Yep, got me in the leg. They'll be after you next. Bye. Let's do this.
It's just you and me now, kiddo. Hello, Dr. Ray Douglas speaking. How may I help you?
Trying to get the screen. There we go. Trying to get back. Okay. In the comment he makes about the strings, something to the effect that if you're focusing too much on the strings, you're not focusing on the story. So
Yes. So he says if you're at a puppet show and you're looking at the strings, you're not focused on the show, you're focused on the wrong thing. And the other thing he said at the end of that was a very British reference of like their TV shows. But there's one thing about this show is they either have to justify the like glaring mistakes that they make and make an artistic spin on it like Dean does, or they totally treat it as this was artistic genius and there's no reason that like more people shouldn't be doing this. Like we are visionaries for having done it first by showing those strings. So they're constantly like they take it like extreme in both direction. But one thing they always do is embrace all of the mistakes and all of the creative decisions in the show.
right.
And that's like what I love about it.
Basically making excuses for why they did what they did, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, let's see. Did you have all those other clips that you sent me? Was there anything else that was pretty that we should look at?
I think the first clip is a good one. This is an example of Dean and
Not
Garth's
so
relationship.
Mister.
Oh, sorry.
Where were you last night?
Okay, so it takes a second for it to pause. Go ahead, say it again.
Yeah, so in this scene, Garth has found in the hospital a one-eyed monster, and he's trying to hide the monster from everyone in the hospital. And Dean is onto him because he's acting weird. So this is just an example of their relationship. In the show, Dean plays Thornton Reed. So Thornton is talking to Rick Douglas about this monster, and like this is like a good example of like their behavior. Why I love it.
Okay, let's see.
Not so fast, mister. Where were you last night?
Nowhere.
Nowhere?
That's right. Nowhere.
Nowhere can be a lonely place to be.
I get by.
It's just I've been hearing some things.
What things?
A lot of things. Strange things. Crazy things. Things, Dag.
Things?
Things.
Well, you shouldn't believe everything you hear, Thornton.
You're hiding something, Dag. I could swear it. I'm going to give you 24 hours to get your sorry ship to shore. After that, I'll do whatever it takes to hunt you down.
I don't know what you're talking about.
24 hours, Dag. 24 hours. 23 hours, 59 minutes. Don't make me stand here and count.
See you later. I would stay, but the air's starting to stink round here.
Not from me, it's not. I just went.
And the fly that landed on his face there,
Oh, was there a fly? Was there really?
right at the end, a fly flew
Stink
on
round
his
here.
nose.
I'm gonna turn the sound off for a second.
Okay,
I didn't see that.
watch this.
Oh yeah. Oh.
That actually happened.
Okay.
That actually happened as they were filming it.
There's a similar scene in the original Indiana Jones movie that's called The Raiders of the Lost Ark, where a fly landed on one of the actors' lip while he's speaking. Just landed on his lip, and they purposely left it in because it looks so funny. So
It's hysterical when that stuff happens. I sent you another clip.
alrighty, let me bring that up here. The interesting thing is, now they say this is from the 80s. I don't know what it was like in Great Britain. I can tell you that 80s television in the United States, you could barely say anything as far as profane language went. I mean, you couldn't even say the word suck back in the 80s. That was considered, the sexual innuendo to it was just too strong, so they wouldn't allow that to be broadcast. So this is supposed to be the 80s. Yeah, they wouldn't be using that kind of language back then in the 80s. And so I assume that's intentional, of course. So okay. Now, what is this clip about that you just sent? This is the one you just sent me, correct?
Yes. So Dean Werner will occasionally comment on Garth Marenghi's creative process in writing the show, like, because Dean is Garth's publisher, so he has a very direct role in the stories, and he is Garth's biggest supporter, and this is a good example of that.
Okay, here we go.
I see that as my job. Garth does one draft. He doesn't want to dull it by constantly revising. He'll do one draft, and he'll often elect to omit punctuation. That's his call. I will put in commas. I won't put in semicolons. This isn't Joyce. I will omit dashes. Again, this isn't French writing. I will make sure that sentences start with capital letters. That's what they're called. I will make sure the book is long enough, or should I say thick enough. That could be a question of adding more words. It could be a question of making the paper thicker. Depends what we've got time for.
There we go.
Yes. So they are definitely a strong duo. And the show would not be the same without like their relationship. Like they are
like
I think this is actually my favorite clip of Thornton Reed.
Okay.
And yeah, I just sent it.
Okay.
Sorry, this is just becoming like a clip show, but it's so important to like play some of these best moments because
Sanchez, or you'll get a knuckle supper. Look, Douglas, you're an excellent doctor, but you're also a live wire maverick.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead and explain it now.
It's just so fun to like show these clips where it's like, what is going on? And like I was saying, it's just like so fast, such rapid fire of these ridiculous comedy moments. Where it's like the only way to like show the best clips is to just like put them out there, and then just realize that this is a very fast paced show. Like every line is supposed to be like so good, and they are really all that good. But these are just some clips that hopefully pique your interest and get you to want to watch the show, because these are some of my favorite clips.
Where is this? What episode is this one from?
The Knuckle Supper, I believe, is from the 3rd episode.
Okay.
And that would be Skipper the Eye Child. But
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
Call it, Sanchez, or you'll get a knuckle supper. Look, Douglas, you're an excellent doctor, but you're also a live wire maverick, who, when it's not bucking the system, is biting the hand that feeds, which in your case, it's this hand. Now, I'm not about to tell the immediate family of the deceased that we're going to have to burn what remains of his body in order to close the portals to another dimension. I just won't do it. This hospital's got a reputation, which I intend to keep. I've yet to see any demons on the ward, and I'm particularly observant. So go back to your lab and make me a pill that can cure banders, or I'll kick your ass so hard you'll be able to build a pole in the footprint. Understood?
So, yep.
The as far as like the show itself, as the 6th episode, is that is there a finale to it? Does the show come to an end of any sort? Or does
It doesn't come to like an end. It is like the last show, but it isn't a finale episode in a series as like a finale would be, because as they wrote this show, all of the characters had 52 episodes in mind. So this was only the 6th episode that made it to air, but it was 6 out of 52 for them. So in the show lore.
And I had heard one of the reviews. I can't remember which one it was. I told you I watched 2 reviews of this before we did our show here, and one of the people speculated that the reason the show got canceled is because it purposely looked like a cheap production, and the it was just too different for people to accept, and so that was not really an audience, something that was attracting enough of an audience, so it just kind of fell to the wayside, and people just didn't really care for it. That was his speculation. So
Yeah, I don't know. It was really tough to find any interviews with the creators of the show. I don't think they speak about this often. I think they definitely prefer to keep it as like at a cult status. And you know, having the DVD from the UK that only now, like an hour ago, did I learn how to use. I haven't been able to watch like the extended episodes, like when they have like commentary, because I know there is episode commentary. So I don't know exactly, but I do think they were comfortable with leaving it at so few. I don't necessarily think they had any expectation that it would last longer, just because of how silly it is and how absurd it is. You know what I mean? Like you can't keep that completely going for so long. But if there were more episodes in mind, like in their eyes, man, I would love to see those. But as it stands, I think they are satisfied with having 6 and leaving it at 6.
right now, as far as like other shows, would you? Because I made some comparisons myself. Would you compare it to anything?
Nothing other than like, not really. No, I think it's unique. I think there's like a few like spoof documentary style type shows that, like the ones you had mentioned, I think those are the closest we're gonna get with because what really makes the show stand out is the commentary from the creators, Garth and Dean, talking about their creative process throughout the show, strictly for the fact that the runtime of these shows was so short, they had to go in and fill airtime by defending the show and making excuses for the show. And because their creative process was so confusing, like they have to explain everything. And that's like hysterical in my eyes, is that like they're like, we have this masterpiece, it's so perfect, but it's 8.5 minutes long and we have a 22-minute show we have to produce. And then they said at one point, just like some of my favorite quotes, like every moment that didn't have like they wanted to, like they had to speed up a lot of parts, so they had to put it in slow motion. So anything that wasn't by dialogue and anything that didn't have dialogue was considered for slow motion, so it would pull time longer. So like I think that's hilarious. I think that's actually real, and it just is a really funny line to me.
Well, I can honestly say the TV show Lost, that I used to watch, it was obviously the very popular show TV Lost. During the first 3 seasons, it seemed like they couldn't fill the whole hour. So what they would do at the end of several of the first 3 seasons, they would actually have a music montage that would last for a few minutes, and it was like they were just trying to pad the show out. So
Oh my God. Yes, there's that is so crazy. The Lost was such a big deal. They really had to pad that show with, really? Wow.
yeah, it was, and by the after the 3rd season, they had to, I think what it was is they had too many episodes. Each of the first 3 seasons was about 25 episodes. And then after that dropped down to like 15 episodes. So they dropped those montages completely. In fact, the show went way too fast. It was like the show was kind of slow at the beginning for the first 3 seasons. And then the last 3 seasons were just way too fast. It was like they were just, there wasn't enough time to tell their story. So it's like they had too much time at the beginning and not enough time towards the end. So
Interesting.
And there's a lot of rapid fire. Like I said, the last 3 seasons, it was just boom, jumping around from place to place to place really, really fast. So it worked okay. I mean, it wasn't written really badly as far as how they got everything together. But when you said that whole thing about the trying to pad it or space it out, that's the first thing I thought of was those music montages. Anyone that's a fan of Lost will remember those from the first 3 seasons only. So
Yeah. Well, I think this show definitely makes the best defense for padding, and they do it in a hysterical way. And they come out and say it. Like, this show does not hold back, and it's brutally honest in the best way possible. I have some quotes written down about Garth's vision of himself. He says, "If I had to call myself anything, I hate labels. I'm an imaginer." And Dean says he is the Orson Welles of terror, a titan of terror. And then Garth said he's a rebel brain expert who's in rebellions against in rebellions against world order. So he thinks he's a genius. He's a terror genius. And his vision of what he's doing, his whole goal in writing terror, is to bridge the gap between and ooh. That's a direct quote from Garth Marenghi.
Which episode was that? Was that one of the first ones, or the first one, or something?
That's one of the earlier ones where he just has to defend his creative process and his vision, because he is either insecure that his vision isn't being seen as like how he wants to see it. This is like at all points of the story. Like either he thinks like, oh, you're too small-minded, you won't get it, or here, I'm this artiste of cinema, and let me lead you down this road of like how perfect I am, and let me just lay it all out for you in my genius way. So,
right. The in the end of the movie, the very, very end, when he the closing credits, that's a spoof on something else. You may have seen it. Stephen J. Cannell production logo from the mid '80s. Let me jump to one of these episodes real quick, so you know what I'm talking about first.
oh, he's this is a Garth Marenghi production, like with E-Learner.
Yeah, give me a second here. It just takes a second. There we go. And yeah, and then at the very end, when he's typing his little typewriter thing, that's oh, here it comes right here. I'll bring it up. Let's see. I think it's on the first one.
I can't see it on my screen.
Oh, sorry.
Garth Marenghi.
Sorry, thank you.
You're good.
There we go. Right there. There we go. So nice all cute up. So right where we need to
The
be.
Dreamweaver. He's a Dreamweaver.
Yes.
Darkplace is a Garth Marenghi production in association with Dean Lerner.
Yeah. I believe it's a parody of this one. Hold on a second. I'll bring this one up and you can tell me what you think. You probably know what I'm saying. You're probably seeing this one right here. This guy.
That is one. I've never seen that, but that is 100% what it's about. It's got to be. That is like that has to be it. That's so funny. I didn't know that.
Okay, yeah, that's anybody who watched 80s shows like I did a lot would definitely recognize that immediately.
That's so funny.
So, and that's my interpretation. I mean, obviously, it's very, very much similar there. So, as far as the show itself, how would you rate the show?
Well, I come at it from a few angles. Like, I appreciate that it's a cult show. I know what it's trying to do, and I think it does what it's trying to do with flying colors. I think it's incredibly successful in like a horror spoof. It is the best way to make the worst possible show with the worst possible actors who truly believe they are the best actors and think they're like they are just these ridiculous characters, and they dive into those characters so perfectly. I would give this a 9. I think it's close to perfection on what they're trying to do. And I also think this is some of the best writing and dialogue I've ever heard. So I love it.
Wow, that's probably high. I wouldn't go that high. I'd probably say like maybe.
I didn't expect you to go that high.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with probably like maybe 7.5. I'll say 7.5.
Okay. I think that's good. That's solid. That is like positive, and maybe would tell other people about it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna watch it over and over again for sure, but I might tell people about it and say, hey, you might want to check this out. But I wouldn't go out of my way to say it's like super funny, because I'd be afraid they might look at it and go, well, it's not really that as funny as I think they might have the same impression I have, that you're not laughing out loud through the whole thing. So
I don't think this is a laugh out loud show. I think there are certain parts where you have to be like, oh my God, that is so funny. But if you're rolling laughing at every every part of the show, just like Dean, like if you're looking at The Wires, you're not watching the show. Like there are so many things where it's like, if you're focused on the other things, you're not focused on the real show. So, I mean, if you're listening to the dialogue in the right way, then you'll be laughing a lot, but, or maybe not laugh out loud, but it'll definitely like get your attention. And I use not this show, but I should use this show to like gauge the palette of new friends, of like, how good of a friend am I going to be based on how much you like Darkplace?
really, wow, that's.
I mean, it's not like a make or break friendship kind of thing, but it's like, what is your comedic bar? Like, where are you on my scale? And I will say this, if you are like where I am on this show, you're going to be my best friend forever.
Right.
Zoom, you will be a very good friend of mine forever. But unfortunately, you did not rate this show at a 9, so you will not be my best friend forever.
I figured that. Yeah, sorry.
But you are up there. So the cat's out of the bag.
Okay.
Whichever cat is on your screen, out of the bag.
Okay. We can rotate through the so we have both on. There we go.
They're so cute. They really are.
So I have a video. I should bring it up sometime. I have to figure out where it's at. I forgot where I put it, so you can see what they look like. So
yeah.
I can bring up another video real quick. Hold on a second. You can see. Here we go. This is a show that I said was kind of similar to the show. This is the one that's called Police Squad. So I got to be careful because I believe this one might hit a copyright. So I had to be very
okay. We'll be.
Yeah. Okay.
Police Squad in color.
Okay. The first joke that's on here is when this came out in 1982. And by the year 1982, I have to explain this joke only because I know you were not around in 1982. And I was. And the idea that a TV show would actually say in color in the year 1982 is completely unheard of. It was
the first of its kind.
Yeah, they stopped doing that back in the late 60s. So they used to do.
That's so funny.
And this show, in case you're wondering, is a spoof of another TV show called M Squad that came out in the 1950s. So, and Leslie Nielsen is the main character. He's plays the main character. He was they was also inspired by the movie Airplane. So he was also they wanted to make a show with him because they liked his character so much in the movie Airplane that they decided to make a show with him. So
he is like one of the funniest people. Well, rest his soul. He was one of the funniest people alive.
And it was the Airplane movie that did it, because before that he was always a serious actor, dead serious. He never did any jokes.
That is so funny.
Now I watched the original intro. who's in the original? Oh, with M Squad. Oh, it's hold on a second. Let me bring it up, bro. Hold on a second. The guy who played his character in the original M Squad from the 1950s was played by a well-known actor. It was one second. Shoot, give me a second here. I'll bring it up here. Lee Marvin. Lee Marvin was in that one. So it's kind of funny that Lee Marvin, who's a very well-known actor, was also in a show that they're parodying here. So, and he gets Lee Marvin his character down pretty well. I've never watched the original show that much, just bits and pieces. So the joke, the running gag was each time they had a special guest, that was Lauren Green, the special guest star would die during the opening credits. So you never saw them again.
Oh, they weren't in the show?
They were just, that's where they were, the special guest was just there, that little cameo at the very beginning. That was it. So Lauren Green was not in the rest. So the special guest star gets killed at the very beginning of every episode.
I love that. That's funny.
And then the episode title, like they read the title, but it's different than what's actually listed on the screen. So I don't know if you caught
this looks like a good show. Yeah, I did see that. That's good. That's funny.
So if you like the show, I think you'd like this one too. So
I think I will. I think I'll definitely like this show.
And as far as I can tell, all the episodes, just like the other one, are on YouTube. So you don't have to. You can buy them if you want to, but you don't really have to. They're all available there. So
awesome. Yeah,
right.
I mean that's all I got for Darkplace. Garth Marenghi's Darkplace.
Yeah, I would recommend it, but like I said, I would make sure I qualify that by saying to the people, we make sure. You're probably not going to laugh out loud all the way through, and because if I told them to watch it, they're probably going to think, well, should I, they're going to come back and say, I didn't laugh that much on it. And I was like, why would you recommend such a show? So I'd make sure to let them know ahead of time that they're probably not going to be laughing very much. So
I gave you a chance to redeem yourself and make best friend status, and you did not take that chance.
I have eternally damned myself.
But yeah, that's okay. I love it, and if I can get one person to watch the show, it's a success. So thank you, Zoom, for my success story.
Sure. Now let's bring up our question. We got a relatively decent response.
Oh, good.
52 votes, but no comments. Sorry, no comments so far. But 52%, 75% of those votes saying that comedy is let me ask the question again. If you wrote a television show or book about your life, what would the genre be? Comedy, slapstick, spoof? And tell us what role you'd have in the comments. Next down after that would be 13% was drama. I think drama would be higher than that. I find it interesting that people are picking comedy as their life, as something to represent their life.
I think everyone thinks life is a joke. All those people where it's like the mess of my life, like what am I doing with my life kind of thing. If it's not a sad comedy, then it's a like, oh my God, like my life is so like the silliest things happen in my life kind of comedy.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. 6% after drama with your choice, but no one left a comment yet.
Okay, yeah, and your choice, leave a comment. Please leave a comment. It says leave a comment. Don't pick that one if you don't leave a comment.
Perhaps they just didn't feel like typing. Maybe their fingers are tired or something. So,
it could be.
They've been their life is just too strenuous right now. So they don't.
They only have a click in them.
You see, 4% with biography or documentary, and 2% with horror or thriller. The fact that I got to 2% is actually kind of scary, to be honest. So,
who knows? It could go up by next week.
I'm trying to think what horror or thriller would represent. I've only said I've only ever liked one horror movie, and that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1973. And it's the only. As far as other ones go, I'm not really a big fan of any of the horror movies. It's not a big thing for me. So,
yeah.
But how do you feel though? Anything else you would like to add to that?
My life would be, I think my life would be. Oof, this is tough. Your choice. I think it'd be midway between comedy and um, sad. Not to like bring people down. Um, that's what I think my genre would be. Being
Huh.
totally honest, it'd be like 85% comedy, 15 sad.
Oh, well, that's not too bad. 15%
No,
sad.
it's not 50-50.
Okay. Oh, some people have that would probably be more in the sad category. There's just a lot of people that are just really depressed. So
Yeah,
some of the
exactly.
comments that we live here, we've seen on other questions are kind of depressing. I remember one person, we asked what are they doing for Christmas, and he said he's not doing anything. He's going to spend time by himself. He has no friends, and he doesn't have anything else to do. So
That's sad.
that would probably be a person that would be 100% sad based on what I was reading there. So.
Yeah, well, we didn't put a sad option, and that was a good choice because we would have some more sad ones, and that's not what this channel is about. It's about movies and shows.
Well, the funny part is we put horror and thriller though, and that's pretty. I mean, you think maybe more like maybe action adventure would be a better choice.
Maybe we had an action question last week.
Yeah.
So if they think if they're an Arnold Schwarzenegger in their own mind, please leave a comment.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap everything up. No more new votes there. Anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye? Oh, I do have one more thing before you say goodbye.
Yes.
Make sure to check out our affiliate link in the comment section, or the not the comment section, but the section that's below the video. Not
The description box.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the right word there. That's we're NordVPN affiliates, and if you click on that, it helps us. If you purchase NordVPN, that'll help us fund the operation that we're doing here. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add?
That's all I got.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see you next week, and have a good one.